1 second. Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It is season 4, episode 34 of the UK Dallas Cowboys podcast. And we are delighted to bring you our very special guest tonight. You know her, you love her. It is Miss Lauren Oliver. How are things, Lauren?
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. Thank y'all, all three of you and the whole crew for having me. Things are doing good. It's a warm day here in Dallas, Texas, coming to you guys from Dallas. So excited to be here and joining you guys.
Absolutely. So for any of you who are unaware, Lauren, why do we know you so well?
Sure. So I was a cheerleader for the Dallas Cowboys for 4 seasons. And then I was an all-star cheerleader. And during my tenure, I was really blessed. I got an opportunity to be on Show Group, which is the dancing, or we do a lot of our just shows that happen, like the external shows outside of games. And then I also was a group leader. And I think that's about it. You know me from DCC.
So there we go. And like Jamie, I'm going to throw this over to you because I know you've been working your butt off for the last couple of years to get this lined up. And, you know, we finally managed to get Lauren onto the show. So, you know, it's a proud moment for you.
So I think it's a proud moment for the fan group, isn't it? As we discussed off air, we said numerous times we've had pretty much anybody who's anybody from the Cowboys organisation, apart from the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. I think we all need a good slap around the head for us taking us this long to get somebody on. And thanks to Lauren for obviously sharing some time, because I know the time difference is really a big thing between us and Texas in it. So thank you, because this is the middle of your day.
I kind of heard, he was cutting in and out for me, but I think he was just saying, took forever, but now we're here. We're ready to go, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just nice. I mean, obviously, when one of us tries to contact cheerleaders, it could be, it can be misconstrued or whatever. So,
Right.
thank you for trusting us. We'll try and repay you with that. And keep it on the level.
Well, I saw someone comment too about like my Christmas tree and whatnot. I was gonna say, I'm here I'm at work actually. I work at a boutique, and it's a fun little boutique, and we do all of our live videos here. So yes, I'm showing off that this is our set, which is funny, set that we have here. But one of those things that joining you guys, y'all have always been so kind to me. You've always been so generous. And anytime on social media, if we post a picture or do anything, you always are so the group of y'all are always so classy and supportive of the organization. So, you're right. It can be kind of tricky. Like, who do you kind of say yes to or not? But I think being able to take the opportunity with you guys to just share my experiences, and what I love to do is just maybe share some experiences that aren't always known. People always think about DCC, they think the uniform, they think football games, but there's way, way, way more to the organization that a lot of people just don't know about. So anytime I'm able to share all of the community service, all of the positivity that goes into the organization that, Kelly and Judy have put together for all of the girls, as well as like getting the support from the True Football Club on everything we do. Anytime I get an opportunity to do that, I kind of don't hesitate, just because it's just such a good thing to share, because so many people just don't know.
Yeah. I suppose, look, myself and Lauren were talking yesterday afternoon kind of about the show. So, I mean, Lauren, your connections with the Dallas Cowboys goes way back. It goes back to the very foundations of the Dallas Cowboys itself. And obviously then you grew up in Austin. So if you want to give us a little bit of background about yourself.
Sure. So I was sharing with Brian yesterday. My grandfather was actually an original season ticket holder for the Dallas Cowboys. So that was with the TV show, I'm sure you guys see that you always give kind of a blurb like, hi, my name's Lauren, I'm from Austin. And then I, every single time, wanted to always share like one little fun fact, like a trivia fact about myself. So I shared that kind of on my very first time auditioning, the very first round, I said, "Hi, my name's Lauren." I think I was 26 at the time. I'm 26 years old from Austin, Texas. And a fun fact about me is my grandfather is an original ticket holder for the Dallas Cowboys. So I actually grew up in Austin, Texas. I went to UT, and I know a lot of you guys are big Longhorn fans. So for me, it was an easy transition to Dallas. You know, the Cowboys aren't, I was telling Brian this yesterday, the Cowboys aren't a huge, they have a great following in Austin, but at the time when I lived there was no professional team. Now they have the soccer team, but there was no professional team. So UT and the Longhorns, though, that's the pinnacle of sports for Austin, Texas, or at least when I was there. So being able to get into the University of Texas is tough, but so it was one of those things where I applied thinking like, I don't know if I'll get in, but when I did, it was like, all right, well, that's where I'm going. Cause it's, I don't know if you guys know in the UK, it's like top, I think 3% get automatically accepted into it. You have to be top 3% of your graduating class in your grades. I don't know if that kind of translates for you guys, but it's really, really hard to get to. And so, for me, when I got in, it was like, well, that's where I'm going. And then I auditioned. I'd been a dancer my whole life. And so auditioned for the Pom Squad, got to be on the Pom Squad for 4 years. And then my life after UT, I went to New York and I assisted on Broadway with a Broadway director and choreographer for a year. And I loved New York, have always loved New York, but I did not like the cold. I did not like the snow. I missed my car. I missed the fact that I had to walk down 3 flights of stairs with my laundry all the way down the street to do I missed having my own laundry in my own apartment. So in Texas, obviously we get a lot more luxuries of that due to space. And just economically, it's a lot more affordable in Texas. So after New York, I transitioned to Dallas, and I went to the Christmas before my, or maybe it was Thanksgiving. It was one of the holidays before my the year I auditioned. I went to a Cowboys game. It was my very first Cowboys game, and there was a girl in my dance studio who was on the team. She was a cheerleader, and so all game we were up high. I think we were in like the 400s level, and so my dad had brought binoculars, which he always does for sporting events, and I had them the whole time. I was watching the girls the whole time, and I was like, I can do that. You know, I was watching their dances, and I was like, okay, I can do that one. Okay, I can do that one, you know, and it's just one of those things because obviously there's way more that goes into the audition, but dance wise, I wanted to make sure, like, can I tangibly make a team dance wise? Like, do I have the talent, the technique for what they're doing on the field, you know? And I didn't know at the time really how much talent and how much technique is actually included in the organization. So then I did my due diligence. I watched every episode of Making the Team. At that time, I was going to be season 5. So season 1 through 4, I watched every single episode. I took notes. Kelly said she didn't like it when people had props in their hands during their solos. You better believe I was like, no props, not doing that. Like anytime they said something they didn't like, I was like, right, well, don't do that, do this, don't do that, do this. And I really tried to do my homework for the organization, and then just be as prepared as I could, and hope for the best. You know, they aren't always looking for, you know, a tall blonde. They always, and they say it in the show all the time, they're looking for a bouquet of women. They want people with they're multi-talented. They can bring a variety of just everything, education, ethnicity, talent, dance wise, be able to speak in front of a camera. And that's what is so, I think, unique about the organization is people just assume, I think they assume that it's about looks, and it is. I mean, you need to be able to look attractive in the uniform, but there's so much more to the team, and it's a team dynamic, which is so wonderful. And that's why we're all, even to this day, a lot of us are all so close still, is you take the time to get to know your teammates, and everyone brings something to the table. It's a true team dynamic. We do it together. We're in it together. We all represent not only the cheerleaders, but the Dallas Cowboys. So it's important for Kelly and Judy, when they're in those selection processes, to pick people that they know can put their best foot forward for the for the football club. I mean, we're small. Don't of course we're not as big a deal as of course any of the players or the coaches, but one girl does one thing wrong, it can make a big impact. So it just was always important. I mean, those are part of the reasons why I loved the organization and was grateful, that they wanted me to be a part of it.
Brilliant. Go on,
Yeah,
Lauren.
I mean, I have to say, I mean, obviously, I watch the show as well. When it's on here, we're quite a few years behind. I think the last series I watched was about season 13. The one that gets me is obviously the dancing is obviously hard enough to begin with, but you're also, you have to go through the sort of intelligence test, the history of the Cowboys, the history of the league, and that must be, you can be on point with your dancing and everything like that, but just you can slip up with the knowledge as well. So.
For sure. It's just, I mean, I think this is kind of obvious. It's a same situation if you were to interview for any job. You're not going to show up to, I mean, I don't know, the work that we do here at our store. You're not going to show up and be like, oh, I didn't know you sold clothes. Like, oh, I didn't know, so it's just what is so great about it is that like you're saying, just being educated on the organization. If you're going to cheer for the Cowboys, then you need to know who you're cheering for. Who are you rooting for? What is the organization about? And then also just in general, it's just doing your due diligence and your homework to know, like, would I even want to, like, learning about like you said, the history of the organization. Is it something that I want to be a part of? And that's something that I definitely did. It's just, especially with the cheerleaders, that so much has gone into the cheerleaders in keeping their reputation. They are the top. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but like, they're the ones that are being selected for a bunch of TV shows. They're always used in media. And there's a reason for that, because Kelly and Judy have done such an incredible job making sure that the organization stays at its peak and is always ready. You can always, I think what's so great is kind of any brand can book the cheerleaders knowing they're going to get a group of girls that are classy, they are well-mannered, they can speak on camera, they are going to be on time, they are going to be reliable, and they are going to truly shine during whatever they need for that media moment.
Brilliant. So Jamie, go on.
No, I was just going to say, obviously with the show, the audition process looks absolutely horrific in terms of how long it goes off, and then to add on there, you've got the making the team crew there filming. You're going through all the process. Do you feel added pressure knowing that it's going to go out on top of American national TV while you're trying to obviously take the step on and get into the Cowboys Cheerleaders? It's obviously something you've wanted for a long time. And does it feel like putting, or do you just kind of just roll with it and it's just one of those things?
Okay, I'm sorry, Jamie. I can't totally understand what you're saying. Did you say do I feel pressure while the TV show is filming and while dancing at the same, like trying to do both? Is it hard to manage both? I think yes and no. Your first yes and no. By the time you're in it, your third, your veteran years, you're used to it. And the other thing is, for me, in my experience, the staff of the filming staff was always very kind and considerate to me. I thankfully had a great, like, my time on the TV show was always positive. So for me, they always genuinely cared about people. It was, if a girl was going through a tough time, the staff the filming staff was always very kind. And like, if someone was cut, they were crying too. That was something that was never shown on camera. Is yes, the girl is crying, but the production crew who've been there since day one, who've been rooting for each and every one of us to make this team, they're crying too. They cry as well. And so it's interesting that yes, there is that extra element, of course, because, TV cameras are on you. So you're having to think more. But I think for me, I just got very I'm a very like zoned in person. Like the two people I need to impress are Kelly and Judy. And so to me, it's like, I need to be a good teammate. I need to know my material, because during training camp, it's a lot about just knowing all those stances. Know my material, be a good teammate, and just show up every day prepared. And like, I think maybe the people who might have struggled were those that either didn't have an opportunity to prepare enough, or I don't know. But for me, it was just, if you could come prepared, you could do it. You just keep going, stay positive. But yes and no. Yes, it was a little bit overwhelming, but thankfully, because of the production crew themselves being so kind and considerate, they felt like they were your fans. They were cheering you on during this whole process. And that's something that, like, of course, no one on TV gets to see. Is this, it's like, here's the dance studio that y'all see, and like over here, like a fourth of the studio is this massive group of production people that are truly just wanting you to see. They want you to be, they want us all to make it, you know? So.
Yep. And I suppose, like, later on in your career with the Cowboys, Lauren, obviously you became a team leader. So, you know, how did that change things for you? Do you know, was it any more responsibility, or was it just trying to make sure that your team was, as you say, being professional, on time, doing everything, and carrying on the values of the DCC?
I think for well, I've always been kind of a leader in our organization, and so, or in every organization I've always been a part of, I just naturally tend to, I would say, I like to be a problem solver. I like to be a fixer. I like to help others, and so with the opportunity, I was very thankful that they trusted me to be a group leader. And when I did become a group leader, you know, in my group, y'all may not know this, but I was in 3 rookies in my group. And so for me, my main goal was that all 3 of my rookies were going to make the team. They were going to make the team. And so none of my veterans were going to get cut. And so it almost became like, you know, a challenge, like I was challenging myself every day to make sure that my group, you know, invincible group that I can help be the best ones. And so every day, I wanted to make sure, is everyone having fun? Is everyone enjoying this? Are we all prepared? Who's not prepared? How can I help? And then on top of it, another thing that y'all don't ever really see is when I was on the team, we would break into our groups to do like little mini rehearsals. So you'll see in the TV show, you would see a full rehearsal happen. And then Kelly and Judy would need like maybe an hour to deliberate like their decision, or they want to talk about the night. And so during that hour, we would take the break and we would divide into our groups. And so the group leaders then would take the time to work with their group, polish their group, make sure everyone was doing well in their dances. And so I would just make sure to do that. We would polish our groups, and then I would point out, like, Jenna was in my group when I was a group leader, and she always has such great sassy style. And so I would be like, all right, guys, pause. We're going to do this one move like Jenna. So we all look cohesive. We all look the same, but now we have that like extra flair that she has. And Olivia was in my group, and she is like technician perfection. And so it was another person that I would turn to say, right, we want to look like Olivia. And so I would always try every day to find, like, even if it was a rookie, like find a moment in each dance that one person in our group maybe shined. Okay, so now let's all do it like her. Because then if you think it through, if there were 10 of us in the groups and we've now established 10 different moments in the dance where we all are looking like our best version, then to me, our group's going to look the best. So it was really fun. I don't ever think of it as a challenge when I was a group leader, but instead a really great opportunity to make others shine. And that's what I was thankful for. Thankful to Kelly and Judy that they kind of let me take the reins for my little group.
Brilliant. Go on, Lauren.
Well, I was going to ask, obviously, you know, you have to listen out for the different bits of music when you're standing on the sideline and know within two or three notes what the song is and what routine you do with that. Is that the case, or do you have a little
Yeah.
bit of a script? Or
When I was on the team, we didn't have a script. We had like, I think I'm going to butcher it, but I want to say we had like at least 20 different tags is what we called them. They were short dances, either 4/8 counts or 4 to 12 8 counts of dances. And, you know, when you become a group leader, you've typically, it's about your 4th year on the team is kind of, sometimes there's 3rd years, but mainly it's like 4th or 5th years on the team. So you kind of learn what tag goes well with what song. And, the DJ will introduce new songs each year, but then he also will repeat older songs that are just like, that have a good beat. They get the crowd engaged. And so, once you kind of just learn as you go, and it becomes very organic and very natural to do. So, also being that, like I said, I've been dancing forever. So it's a very easy thing for when you've been dancing. I've been dancing since I was 2. My mom was a dancer. So for me, it was very easy to do that whole pickup thing, because it just comes natural once you're a dancer. I don't know really if I'm making sense, but it wasn't hard. It's very easy. It's very organic. And I think, like I said, having the tenure of being on it for 3 years prior, you learn, okay, it's less about, when you're doing it, for me, it's less about the actual song. It's more about the beat. It's more like, is this a slow beat song? Okay, if it's slow, then we need to do this one instead. If it's fast, then we need to do this one because the movements are fast. So it more was that than it was about the actual song. It's more like, is it slow? Is it fast? And then which dance kind of goes better with those rhythms? I love these questions. I didn't expect that one.
Very good.
We'll go with some of the questions from the comments. Yeah. So here's one from our friend Paul, who's actually out at the moment. So he's asking, what's it like after cheering for the Cowboys? Are you still closely connected with the girls in your year, or is it like a sorority that you all keep in touch?
Totally. Everyone's experience is different. I am very fortunate that during my years, we do keep in touch. I keep in touch. There's a group when I was a rookie. I don't know if y'all remember, like Brooke Sorensen, Michelle, Jordan Chanley, Cassie, Tia, there's so many of them. They get together every kind of couple of months, or not, like twice or so a year. And they do include like myself, Mia, sometimes Jackie in that group. So we'll go see them sometimes. I've got a group that includes like Holly, Ronnie, Kelsey, Katie. There's just a huge variety of girls that have been in my years that we're all in a group text. And so we're in a group text. So we text each other probably like, I would say every couple of days, the text gets kind of active about something. But the fun thing, and y'all will all need to tune in, they are doing an alumni halftime, I believe this Sunday. It might be this game that's coming up. I'm unfortunately not able to participate, but they've been practicing. A ton of them have been getting together and practicing. They're all doing it. They're so excited. So there are a lot of great opportunities for alumni to stay connected. We have a lady named Brooke who runs our alumni organization, and she is coming up with creative ideas. There was a luncheon, there was a happy hour. So she comes up with creative ideas for the group as a whole to get together just all the decades. So it totally is kind of a story. In fact, for me, I'm closer to my former cheerleaders than I was in a sorority than I am to my sorority. So it's one of those things that, like, y'all know from the show, once you've like kind of gone through the trenches together, you truly do you lean into each other in life. Like, we all support each other in like what we do now in our different jobs. If someone wants some shout outs on Instagram, then like everyone will go blow up their post. It's like we're all definitely still connected, still supportive. And it helps. I'm in Dallas too, so it helps to keep that all together. But it's exactly what Kelly says. People were in your wedding. I mean, she wasn't like making that up or over dramatizing it. It is truly a sisterhood. And I think because the organization stays, like I said, so top notch, it's constantly being fulfilled with great women with great standards, great moral compass. They're gorgeous, they're kind, they're sweet, they're outgoing, they're like it's like I can now become friends with maybe someone who retires right now because we all kind of have those same similarities. We all just are positive people who work hard and do good in life. I don't know.
Kind of speaking about doing good in life, Lauren, and this was something we were talking about yesterday. There's a lot of stuff that you've done as part of the DCC that nobody has ever seen, and I know you wanted to bring that up. So, if you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I wanted to make sure that people know, I don't know if you guys know, but when I was on the team, we did a bunch of USO tours. And so being a part of the team, there is the games, there is the practice, but majority of what we do is, or not majority, but a good chunk of what we do is community service, giving back to the community, and especially giving back to our military. And so we have this thing, and y'all may know this, we go on USO tours. 12 girls when I was there got to go. We auditioned for it. It's a big deal for us to make the group that gets to go. It's a huge honor. And when I was there, we would spend like 10 to 12 days overseas. In Korea, I was in Bahrain, Kuwait, with our soldiers on their bases. I got to go to I was telling Brian, I got to go to the DMZ. I actually met some of you guys as soldiers. I had lunch with some Kiwi soldiers. So it's a true, the organization is way bigger than just games and just games, really. There's every day, when I was on the team, every week there would be a philanthropic opportunity, whether that's to go help out at Salvation Army, whether that was to go to a nursing home, to participate in maybe some kind of games that they were doing. But there's so much more that no one really sees, and that's fine. It's not meant to get notoriety on that. I just want to make sure that people know that the organization is way bigger than just dancing. It encompasses your day-to-day life. And I'm telling Brian, it's probably those 4 years are the most volunteer years of my entire life I've ever done. I don't think I've ever volunteered as much as when I was a part of that organization. It felt natural. You wanted to, now it's like I have kids and I have the store and I'm like, I don't know when I would do that. And now I look back then, I'm like, I don't know when I did that then. I don't know how that happened, but it's a huge priority to the Dallas Cowboys Football Club that we are involved in the community. It's a huge priority to give back, and that goes down to the cheerleaders tenfold. The cheerleaders do a ton of that, and I just wanted to make sure that a lot of your fans knew and recognize that the organization is so much bigger than just football games.
Yeah. I'd actually have to say across here that you're probably more mainstream than the team in some respects because making the team is on one of the regular daytime channels across here. There are actually a lot of people who know more about the DCC than they do about the Cowboys. And I mean, it's funny, the two things that sort of advertised Dallas was obviously in the 80s, you had the opening credits to Dallas itself, and you had the flyover of Texas Stadium. The number of Cowboys or people that I talked to who became Cowboys fans because of that opening sequence of Dallas. And then obviously you've got DCC now making the team, and I can talk to people who aren't American football fans, but they know the DCC. There's obviously when the DCC were across in 2014 for the London game as well, you got involved on a lot of TV there as well. So, I'd actually say you've probably got a bigger following across here than the team does in some respects.
Oh, Well, that it's cool to hear. Obviously, the team is way bigger and way more important than us. Without them, there is no us. But that's cool to hear. Cool to hear that the cheerleaders have a good following there.
So I saw one of the comments there that Lauren pulled up, Lauren. So it was, you know, when you were on the team, you obviously had to go through auditions every summer. Like you weren't just going from season to season and being kept on. Obviously, you had to re-audition for your part each year, was it?
Yes. So when you become a veteran, you get to skip the first 2 rounds, and it may be a little different now. I know with COVID, there's some changes that have happened in the audition process. But when I was there, the first 2 rounds, it's like the opening round and then semifinals. And then in finals is when veterans come in, and finals is when they perform the little 8 count, or maybe it's more than that, dance, and then you perform a solo. And so every year you have to make, I absolutely, I mean, I'm fine at it, but I hate it. If I could do it, if I was like, if I don't have to do a solo, I'll re-audition every single year of my life. I just hate doing solos, but whatever, I did it anyway. You suck it up and do a solo. But so you do have to re-audition every year. And there's so much value and importance in that, because it keeps everyone from being complacent. It keeps the veterans from, you know, if you aren't auditioning, then one, like you could just, you're not at the same caliber. You're not pushing yourself constantly to improve. And even just in my 4 years that I was there, the talent level of dance from my rookie year to my 4th year was not, like, by the time I was a 4th year, I was like, oh, if I was auditioning now, I'm not sure. And like, same now, if I was auditioning now, I'm like, oh, my dance technique, I would be back row. Like, yeah, those girls are just so good and so talented. So by insisting that the veterans re-audition every year, that just kind of pushes us to keep getting better, to keep making sure that, like, we're still on top of our game. We're not slipping through the cracks. But it was, you know, of course, nobody wants to have to re-audition all the time, but I totally understand why they did it. And it wasn't too bad.
Good. Was there any other questions came in, Lauren, or?
Well, we've got one from Mike, which we can.
Mike's an Aggies fan. No, Mike's an Aggie.
University of Texas. I'm a Longhorn, so I do follow the Longhorns as well. So hook 'em horns, everyone.
Yeah, and there's one here from Joe. Now, obviously, we've been talking off air that you don't follow the team as much nowadays, but do you have a favorite player all time, or?
Yeah, I have a favorite player. Roger Staubach is my favorite. One of my coworkers here worked with or lived with him or his wife in Germany. They were on the same base. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
And, and so she would babysit for. Oh, can I introduce someone real quick? Steve, come here. This is you can put the boxes down. Here, I'm on a podcast right now, Steve, and come down so they can see your hat. This is Steve. He's with FedEx. He's our FedEx delivery guy. I think these guys are all from the UK. They're the UK Cowboys football fans. We're on a podcast right now.
All right.
Anyway, so Steve delivers our boxes and everything. And anyway, he's a huge Cowboys fan too. So yeah, you made the podcast. He didn't even know. He didn't even know. But how great. He's wearing the Cowboy hat. Yeah, thank you. Go Cowboys, right, Steve?
Right.
Yes, right. He's so sweet. And when he found out I was a cheerleader, like, what? He was so what was I talking about right before?
Roger Staubach.
Anyway, so a coworker here and his wife are good friends. And so I've been able to meet him a couple of times. And so he's just, I mean, y'all know this, such a class act, true representative of Dallas Cowboys, true representative of America's team. I mean, 10 out of 10, y'all know that. So I would say he's my
Very good.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I was 4 years old, and I got to see his last ever regular season game against the Redskins in 1979. So wow. I've been a fan since then. So
you're showing your age, Lauren.
That is true. So, Lauren, there's one question we kind of always ask everyone, and we've had a range of answers on this. So, I was saying this to you yesterday. We had Will McClay, the de facto general manager, on during the draft last year. So, what's one thing about Lauren Oliver that none of us know or none of us have seen before? And to give you an example, Will said to us that he was in a rap video when he was playing in the NFL Europe back in the days.
Oh wow. Okay. My one fact that none of y'all know about me is I am actually really good at basketball, and I was the MVP of a couple of leagues when I was little, and I haven't played in a long time, but give me a few minutes and I would say my best quality is I can hit a 3-point shot pretty consistently. So that's my hidden talent, is that if we're ever have to compete in a basketball game, y'all should always pick me.
Brilliant. So have we anything else for Lauren, or do we want to let Lauren get on with her day?
If we've got time, Lauren, and my internet works, I've got two. I'm going to be greedy. Just in terms of, so what we see obviously on the show is pretty much the girls practicing, getting ready for finals and things. But can you just kind of give an insight of what a DCC schedule looks like kind of in the build-up? Because it's not just training camp and the season. The ladies have jobs as well.
Sure.
Not everyone can do that, do we?
Now, you'll have to keep in mind, I don't know what all has changed since I left, but when I was there, my schedule was Monday through Friday. I was working at retail. I was working at Ralph Lauren at the time. So I was at my job Monday through Friday, and then I would leave at about 5 o'clock, head to either the stadium or our practice facilities. And then we would, honestly, I would do kind of like pre-practice, before practice. You'd make sure to get a snack, make sure your hair, because you have to be hair and makeup ready. Hair and makeup is ready. And then I'd go over, all of us would kind of go over, okay, what are we going to be doing in practice? Like, let's turn it on real quick. Like, let's walk through it. Like, do I remember that? Are we good to go? Yeah, great. And then run practice typically about 2 hours, and then head home. And then also throughout that week, I would typically do about by the time I was a fourth year, I would do probably 1 to 2 appearances a week. So that would be during the day. You know, maybe I would have an appearance at an Albertsons. And so like 9 a.m., I'm waking up. I'm not going to work that day. I'm going to head over to Albertsons, do an appearance, and then head home, get ready for practice, and go there. And then our weekends, we actually didn't, and y'all probably know this or see this. There's not a whole lot of flexibility if you're on show group, or when I was there for weekends. So for weekends, we would be doing shows, and that would be in like big, like Arbonne would hire us to do like a big dance performance. And so we would have needed to stay late after practice to go over, okay, what are we doing for Arbonne? We need to, dance and practice that. And then, okay, the show's in San Antonio. Okay, so we're leaving Friday, show's on Saturday. We're driving back late that night, or we're driving back the next day. So the games actually, and I was telling Brian this, the games actually took up probably the least amount of our time, just because, it's not like it's in baseball where there's hundreds of games a season. And we're only performing at home games. So it's a lot more time consuming once you get into it, but also you do have the ability to, like if you join show group, it's way more time consuming than if you're just a team member. So you can kind of decide, like, maybe I'm not going to do that because my work's a little heavy, like our workload's a little heavy. So I'm not going to have that flexibility to travel as much. Or many of our girls were moms even. So, unfortunately I don't want to, like Sasha was a mom when she was on the team with me, and she totally could have been on show group. But for her, it's like, she can't sacrifice. She's already sacrificing everything away from her child. And so for her, it's like, I can't do the additional sacrifice. But she is a shoo-in for show group. She's so talented.
Yeah, it seems like it's more than a full-time job in there. Like you say, you've got all this extra that you don't do. So fair play to you. And I think just the last one for me, I know Brian pulled one up, but what was harder to learn? The entrance for the game. So you have to get the timing right, don't you? So you get on the hash line or the kick line.
For me, it wasn't, like I said, because I grew up dancing my whole life. And I grew up also, like I shared, I was on Broadway. So hitting your mark on a stage is really important. Same kind of concept of hitting your mark on the field to hit it at a certain time. Also in Texas, we've been dancing on a football field since I was 13 years old. And so, getting across the field, hitting those marks, that's kind of something I've been doing for over a decade at the time. And so for me, it was not hard just because I was a dancer. I know people who maybe join more having a cheerleading background, or maybe they don't have a super strong dance background. It was a little difficult to get that concept down. I will say the difference for me was, in general, this is maybe something that a lot of you guys may not recognize. DCC kind of has its own style. You can't really learn it. It's not ballet. It's not tap. It's not jazz. It's not hip hop. It's its own thing. And so that, I would say, for me being a dancer, growing up dancing my whole life, that was the thing that was kind of tricky to learn at first. Like hair flips. Like that's not done anyway. I don't know anyone else who does that. You go on Broadway stage and flip your hair, they're gonna be like, "What are you doing?" Like, your wig just fell off because you're wearing, you'll wear like costumes and whatnot. So that was something for me that was hard, and that like I never understood. And people would always ask, like, "How can you prepare best?" And I'm like, you got to learn it all. You got to do it all. Or they do offer technique classes. And then Jennifer Amburn also offers dance class, like actual DCC style classes. So like that's where I'd be investing my time is get in Jennifer's classes. If you can't get in them physically, she does a lot of online classes as well. But it's its own dynamic. It's like a professional style. I don't like a professional sports team dancing style. It's like nothing there like nobody's teaching that in a studio. I'm not learning. I was a dance major in college. Like that wasn't in anything that we were doing. It's not in Broadway. It's its own thing. So for me, like that's actually the difficult thing is nobody grows up training on how to be that type of dancer. You just kind of have to get it organically, figure it out. But that kind of answered it was not the football lines, and getting your mark was not hard for me, but just figuring out the dance technique in itself it's just different.
Yeah. And the last question, it comes from the Big Lebarsky. He says, do you have a camaraderie with the players, or is it more separate teams operating at the same time? And also, what's your favorite community service project that you participated in?
I'll obviously going to answer both, but I want to talk real quick about the community service. My favorite project that we ever did was with Neil McCoy. He has this Angel Network, East Angel Network. It is he's from East Texas, he's from a small town in East Texas, an area of Texas, and East Texas Angel Network works to help children who are maybe handicapped or disabled or have learning disabilities. And he helps them and their families with like the financial burden of all of that comes into play. And so he puts on a big concert every year, and then he does like a golf tournament, and every year DCC goes and performs, and then there's a big auction. Every year we go. I didn't, obviously Neil McCoy is a very famous country music artist. But I had never really listened to his music prior, but he is a human being. He's incredible at what he gives back to the community, his service. And he also did a bunch of USO tours with the cheerleaders before my years, and maybe even after or during. I think I actually did one tour. It was with some of the all-star cheerleaders, but that's one of my favorites. Just knowing that it's here in Texas, and just to be able to see, you get to see the impact that he's making. A bunch of kids that he helps come to the event. You get to meet them. You get to see everything that their organization is doing. So it was always year after year. It's a volunteer appearance. You volunteer your whole weekend to spend time with them, you know, no paying, no nothing. And that you're getting paid in your heart. It's like, it's such a good, you walk away feeling changed, feeling blessed, feeling grateful that you can be a part of something that is truly making a change in many people's lives. And then the other question was, do we have camaraderie with the players? When I was there, I was telling Brian this, when I cheered at UT, we were all the same age. We were all in the same classes. And so when I would cheer at football games in college, I was cheering for my friends. They were like actual good friends of ours. We're cheering, we know them. You know, we see them every day on campus, like we're eating lunches together, we're our friends. And so when with the organization for the Cowboys, there's a pretty strict, you know, you don't know fraternizing with the players or really, you know, anyone else in the organization. And so for me, it was like instantly like, all right, that's the rule, not a problem. Like I told Brian, they just kind of became for me like a number and a jersey. Like I know what that number, that name, and that jersey, I know what position they play, and I'm cheering on the team as a whole. But like I never took the time to like, I'm not getting to know you. I don't need to know anything about you. If I see you out, I don't even want to recognize you, kind of vibe. So it was something that like, I'm a big rule follower. So if that's the rule, like fine by me. I'll cheer you guys on. I want the best for the team, but like with players, no, I would say all of the girls during my years, you know, you're not really hanging or chatting with the players.
Yep.
Have I ever been to saw that show? No, I have not. I could. That would be amazing.
So I suppose, look, Lauren, I think we said we'd go for an hour if we could. And obviously, look, we know you have your own job to be getting on with today. You know, if there's anything else you want to say before we let you go.
I would just say thank you. Thank y'all for having me. I hope that everyone has a wonderful Merry Christmas. You know, always Team Super Bowl. Let's make it to the Super Bowl every year we can, right? But again, just thank y'all for having me. Grateful to be here. Grateful to talk about my experiences and hopefully, you know, open some eyes to what all the true organization is about and all of the real great things that kind of go under the radar the cheerleaders do that a lot of people aren't able to see. And it's fine that they don't see, but just knowing that the organization is so much bigger, but at the end of the day, we're all here for the Dallas Cowboys Football Club, and we all just want the success for the team, and go Cowboys.
Absolutely. I think Labarski has kind of captured for the three of us exactly what we said. It's thank you so much for coming on and for what you've done for the Cowboys and us as fans. And look, before we get out of here, look, where can everyone find you on Instagram and Twitter and all of those kinds of things, just that we can bump up your numbers?
Sure, thanks, guys. I think I put it in correctly. I think it was you, Brian, who's like, I don't remember what it is. But I'm on Twitter, but I don't tweet. It's more just, you know, following the news. But I am on Instagram, Lauren, Lauren, L Oliver. So I hope that's right. I think that's right.
It is.
It is. I've just followed you tonight. So.
Cool. Y'all are welcome to follow me there. I don't post a whole lot. I do more for our business. Boku, Texas is our business. So I do lots of active things there. We don't ship yet internationally, but maybe after this I ship. So if you have any, we do lots of women's clothing, women's gift items. So, you know, buy for your wife, send your girlfriend. And maybe depending on, I have my coworker standing in front of me. We may need to look into our international shipping. Well,
myself and Lauren are both accountants, so we're good people to know.
Perfect. Right,
yep.
guys. Thank y'all so much for having me on.
Thanks, Lauren, and take care.
Bye.
There we go, gentlemen. That was Lauren Oliver from the DCC.
It's finally happened. It's like now it's like, oh, we have to talk about the game, and it's like,
yeah,
even if 50 burger's not going to top speaking to a Cowboys cheerleader, is it?
It's not going to top that, no. And I think, Jamie, I think you should definitely be taking it bow. You really have worked hard to get that one in for us. So,
Nah, mate.
well done.
When we said before, we all do everything to get who we can on the podcast. So there's no thanks me. It is like I say, I mean, we've got so many good people on this. Yeah, we are just what we're doing here.
Yeah, and that's it.
Paul is here. Margarita Paul's here.
Can you hear us all right? Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're very echoey there, so just maybe turn down the volume a touch.
Turn down a little bit? Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, the microphone down a little bit?
It's reverberating, so it might be just the sound.
Right,
okay,
hold on, I'll bring this closer then. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
And to be fair, I think we need to say, don't we, that I think a lot of people have logged off and said thanks. We've now got the pre-game show, haven't we? Like we're not buggering off yet, people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to cover up this microphone so there's no feedback coming back.
Yeah, because normally I have the headphones on. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But look, obviously, it's time to talk about the game itself. Look, as we say, Team 50 Burger in the house this weekend. Paul was actually in AT&T Stadium on Sunday for the game. I believe he was with you as well, Chris, was he?
Sorry, 2 seconds. We're trying to figure out how not to
The feedback.
how to get the feedback right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, but the game was brilliant, man. Tailgate was great. That first, second, third quarter was then all hell broke loose in that fourth quarter, right?
All hell.
So,
Oh hell, it was amazing, guys. Man, you know the stadium was electric. You know, and especially in the fourth quarter because it was a close game. You know. Which, you know, I predicted that, you know, just because the Colts have been losing, you know, they were going to come. It was on a national TV game. It was a primetime game, and they were going to show up. But the defense just showed out in the fourth quarter, man, with the turnovers and the returns. And then next thing you know, a franchise record at 33 points and a half. You know? A quarter. Sorry, I gave him too much credit, didn't I?
So, Chris, look, for us that aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into supporting the Cowboys, and you know how life has been with the Cowboys.
Okay, well, I am 53 years old, so that's telling my age that I'm born in 1969. Okay. So if anybody asks me, have I seen all 5? Yes. So that's the answer. My dad was a huge Roger Staubach fan. Okay.
Brilliant.
So growing up in the household back then, you had one TV, not like the 3 TVs I have on the wall right now. We had one TV in the house, and on Sunday, Dad was watching the Cowboys. Okay.
Yeah.
So as long as I was old enough to know, the Cowboys were always on TV. So, you know, what Dad watched, I watched. And then as a kid, I just fell in love. And Roger Staubach was his favorite player. So my parents, they were so into the Cowboys. If the Cowboys lost on Sunday, they literally didn't go to work. They were distraught. They were like, I can't take it. So that's how big the fandom. And back in the 70s, a lot of people don't know this, where it was blackout rules. So if the Cowboys didn't sell out, they wouldn't show the game in Dallas. Our family was such a big Cowboy fans. We would load up in my uncle's van and drive 90 miles away to Waco, Texas, just to watch the Cowboys. So, you know, we all been Cowboy fans, you know, all our lives. So, you know, that's how I became a Cowboy fan. So Dad was one, I was too.
Yeah. And Chris, tell us who's your favorite all-time Cowboy? You know, you've seen the whole
Cowboy gambit. Just because I am a old head is Harvey Martin, co-MVP of the Super Bowl with Randy White.
Yes.
Yep.
He's my
it's a travesty he's not in the Ring of Honor.
I know, or the Hall of Fame. because at one time he was the all-time sack leader in the NFL.
Yeah. Jamie, you were going to say something.
Technically, he should still be, but they never actually counted sacks back then. He had 23s, which is half more than Strahan at the moment. So
exactly. So, but yeah, he's my all-time favorite. Yes, Harvey Martin.
Brilliant.
I was just going to have a little bit of a laugh at Paul's expense. I just want to know, right, Chris, right, Paul is a renowned jinx, and he's said that before. When he's been, let me just get this out. Paul. When he doesn't go to Dallas with the UK Cowboys flag, now did he let you know that that's a kind of a running thing with him? When he comes, he doesn't bring the flag. The Cowboys generally, if he not kind of to open the home to him and let him there, and he's not brought the flag this time round.
Right, so basically, like, I don't know if you can understand, Jamie. So, normally I would bring the UK Cowboys fans flag as I showed you in the documentary.
Right.
Normally that always brought us a little bit of good luck. This year I didn't bring it, and this year we got the dubs. So
he was saying that you were going to be a jinx if you brought the flag.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't bring it because we set records in the fourth quarter. So I guess he's going to leave it at home from now on. Okay.
Sorry, Paul. You know I love you, man. I just had to get that in there.
Love you too, dude.
No, man. Paul, I've been tweeting back and forth with Paul over a year now, right? Because I told him that I ran across y'all's show. I was on Facebook and I saw UK Cowboy Fans, right? I was like, there is no way there's anybody in the UK that know anything about American football. And I stopped, and this is honest God truth. I stopped and I was like this. I was like, they know what they're talking about. Okay, and then when the draft came, you guys knew more about the draft than I do, and I thought I was a draft person, right?
And fairness, that's more and Brian and Lauren and Graham and Mike. They are draft heavy.
That's not the dang point. They knew more. so to me, it gave credibility for me, okay? Because a lot of people can say they like American football, they know American football, but when you guys were speaking it, okay, and you guys were talking about it, and that's what I was like. That's when I gained the most respect. It's kind of like people from Europe, and we're talking soccer or football, and we're talking that, and a lot of people don't respect Americans talk about it because we could literally, honestly, we can care less. You know, only kids here that play soccer is because their parents wouldn't let them play real football. Okay, that's the only reason they play soccer. It's the honest to God truth. Okay, but here, it's kids. Matter of fact, I coach Little League football, and my kids play from 4 years old to 13, so they got in regular school to play. And that's how it is in America. And it was a guy on social media said, if the United States actually put all their athletes into soccer, football, we dominate, you know? And I was like, no, I want to keep them in our football. You care less.
Yeah. So look, we're nearly an hour into the show, and I suppose let's talk a little bit about the game and try not have Mike kill us. So look, Lauren, if you want to pull up some of the stats there from the offensive side of the ball. Look, Jamie, you made this point yesterday morning. Dak Prescott threw for 170 yards yesterday or on Sunday night, and we put up 54 points. That's phenomenal.
Do you know what? That was the first. I didn't get to watch the game because of what time I was starting with. But that's one of the stats that I always kind of look at first to see how Dak's done. And it's nice to see that we didn't have to heavily rely on him. And that's not a knock on Dak. I just mean it's showing that this team on offense is becoming very well rounded, and you can trust both sides. So when you need Dak in, when you want to kind of take the pressure off him, that running game is just immense. And you see that the Cowboys 54 points on, you automatically think Dak's thrown for 400-500 yards, and he didn't need to. He did what he needed to do. He managed the game. He stepped up, and that's what you want from him.
Yeah. And Lauren, I suppose, look, I'll throw it over to you. I mean, 220 yards rushing from the guys in the game. I mean, we have kind of been a little bit critical about the offensive line, about the penalties, but I mean, in the last few weeks, our offensive running of the ball has improved so dramatically. And, is that a function of just how cohesive the unit has become now that everyone is settled into it?
I think it is in some respects, although I mean, we have been tinkering the last couple of weeks because obviously we're planning for the return of Tyron Smith. So you've seen Connor McGovern still playing guard. You've seen Jason Peters come on at left tackle. You've seen Tyler Smith move into guard. They're trying to figure it out so that we can get our best five on the pitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was great just seeing guys like Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadish, 20 yards downfield and bullying the second level players.
Yeah.
On those big runs by Pollard and Zeke, and that run from Malik Davis as well for his first NFL touchdown as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been immense watching that in the stadium.
Yeah.
Just to add into that, at the end of long, one of the players that impressed me, and you wouldn't expect him usually to do it, and just with the way the Cowboys use him, was the one where CD Lamb picked up the first down inside the 10. He just dropped the shoulder, and the safety, he was just like, get out of my way. And it was just like, CD is finally showing it is a new for me.
Yeah. And listen, Paul and Chris, I'll throw this one back over to you, as Lauren kind of alluded to in the stadium. Like in the third quarter, obviously you could hear the chance for Zeke on the goal line situation. You're on mute, by the way, just in case. But like that, I mean, sure, the energy in the stadium must have been immense with the way the game was going and the way it just transformed in that fourth quarter.
Well, yeah, I mean, initially it was kind of like we had that CD Lamb touchdown in the first quarter where he kind of revolved. Everyone really amplified during that, but then it really kind of started getting a little bit stalemate. But once that fourth quarter kicked off, it was like chant after chant after chant, and it was just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Well, my take on that, go back to your question about the Zeke chant. To me, it's proving that Cowboy fans still love Zeke, still respect Zeke. Okay.
Yeah.
And on our show on the Dallas Cowboy Huddle on YouTube on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. That's a cheap plug. Anyway, I call Zeke our family wagon when you need him to get the kids to school, to do the grocery shopping, to do it. That's Ezekiel Elliott. But hey, on the weekends we need the sports car to go a little fast down the Autobahn. That's Tony Pollard. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, the families in the stadium on Sunday was happy to see the wagon get in the end zone.
Yeah. No, that Chris, that's a brilliant summation. And I suppose the thing was, when I was putting the stats together for the show yesterday, it was the fact that I saw Tony Pollard had 17 touches on running. Zeke had 15. Malik Davis came in and had 5 or 6 runs. Everyone is kind of staying fresh. They're not kind of risking injuries or anything with them.
Yeah, I agree. And I just hated back when Cowboy fans wanted to have this argument about Tony or Zeke. I'm like, why can't we enjoy both?
Yeah.
Why not? Because when you go to cookouts and barbecue, do you just only get the ribs? Do you only get the sausages? Or do you only get the chicken? Don't you get everything?
Where's the brisket?
Yes.
So that's basically how I feel about this whole situation. 2 different running backs, they offer 2 different things. Why not use that? And I really appreciate it. And I also bring this analogy too. Also, I said, remember we had Marion Barber and we had Julius Jones. Everybody wanted the Barbarian to touch the ball every play. Okay. And as soon as he started in that playoff game, he had 100 yards rushing at halftime. Did we not lose that game? And then wasn't the next year did Marion do half of anything because he wasn't in his role. In football, we got to have our role, okay? And right now, Tony has a role, Zeke has a role, and let's roll with it all the way to the unmentionable word to start with an S that's in February.
Yeah. And like, I think this is the other great thing is neither of the guys care about how many touches they're getting. It's a team thing, and it's the one thing that's kind of stood out all year is the team. It's the team above everything.
And I agree. What did you think, Paul? You think that it's just the team game? We talked about it earlier.
Yeah, man. We talked about it quite a bit in depth.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot more distribution being handed out to every player right now, even with the tight ends right now, even with the wide receivers right now, with the running backs. It's like trying to really like get everyone that's in this roster right now. We're trying to utilize them as best as we can. Although we're not using Devontae Turpin in offense, but that's different.
That's the only frustrating part about that to me. I was like, you signed this dynamic guy who can make wonderful plays, okay?
Yeah.
And the only time you only utilizing him on special teams. Every once in a while, they'll throw him in on offense as a decoy. But I say if you got Turpin on the field, Tony Pollard on the field at the same time with Zeke on the field, wouldn't that open it up for everybody? Okay. Yep. It'll also open it up for CD and Michael Gallup. Okay. And I'm one of those guys. Hey, I don't want LBJ. That's just me, my opinion. Anyway, but I think it'll open it up for the other guys because the speed that he has is a different, it's a game changer because you got to account for the guy. And if you don't, he's going right past you, touchdown. He's Rocket Ishmael all again. I keep proving my age. Rocket Ishmael. He was actually at the game Sunday. Remember?
He was.
Rocket Ishmael.
And Chris, you've kind of brought it round to the point there in terms of OBJ. And Paul, I'm just going to flip back a couple of weeks ago when myself and yourself did the World's Team podcast. I kind of mentioned it to you about, maybe this is Michael Gallup's game that he comes back, and he did it on Sunday.
Yeah, I kind of predicted that 2 touchdowns. I don't know what did Gallup get yards wise? Was it over 100 or was it less?
He was less than 100, but he had 2 touchdowns.
Gallup only had about
23
yards.
23, 2 TDs up 7, 4 receptions off 7 targets.
Man,
not a bad return, though. Not a bad return.
I'll tell you what, though, Gallup's since coming back from injury, he seems to be getting his spring back. So, I mean, we're getting him at the right point of the season. We're actually getting players back into the fold right now. Yes. And whereas you're seeing teams right now, they're losing quarterbacks, they're losing wide receivers, losing running backs. Us right now, we're actually getting stronger as this season goes along right now. Right. So we're in a really good position.
Yeah. And just to bring you a bit of breaking news, folks, just whilst we've been on the podcast, Baker Mayfield has been claimed by the LA Rams. So he's not going to San Francisco as many people were predicting or hoping. But if we do kind of bring it back to the Cowboys, and we'll flip over to the defensive side of the ball at this stage, because I think the kind of comments that were coming in on Sunday night were that the team were feasting and dining. It wasn't just a snack they were having on the offensive line of the Colts. They were full on having a feast day.
It was truly an American buffet. It was all you can eat. So it was basically like, who wants to eat? Because you can tell the coach was focused on Michael Parsons, stopping him from getting to Matty Ice. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And whenever that happens, do you notice everybody eats well? We still get those sacks. We still lead the NFL in sacks.
Hooker, man.
Malik Hooker, his former team. Was it an
Yep.
interception and a fumble return? Okay.
Yes.
And then don't forget about Wilson. Wilson had an amazing game. Okay. Yep. So, our only thing that's really hurting us, that right side on the corner. Now Brown's out for the season.
Yeah.
Kelvin, was it Joseph, Mr. Bossman Fat, who I can't stand at all. I don't even know why he's on the team. But anyway, so I know I'm very honest, but hey, Paul, I'm honest, okay?
Yeah.
So this is why we had to get Chris on, man.
I'm very honest, brother. You know, if some Cowboy fans can't take honesty, you know, hey, that's just me. I can't help it, man. I'm gonna show my colors every time. But I just think right now that our only weak link on our defense is at corner right now, because we've lost two. We lost Jordan Lewis, go blue, and we lost Brown. So it's gonna be tough. So that's why I was like, I don't need OBJ now. Go get me a corner. I need a corner really bad right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Because to me, that's our only weak link right now, other than my other weak link, but I'm not gonna mention his name, LVE. But anyway, I'm gonna keep moving. And it's just other things that's more important to me than wide receiver.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that has been the biggest issue for us in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Jordan went down, season-ending injury. Now, Anthony has gone down, season-ending injury. You know, like, is there a cornerback out there who is available that we could look to sign as an emergency cover? I've heard people mention AJ Bowie, but I'm the same as you, Chris. I don't know.
I don't know much about him, but I'm like, this is what I'm looking for, really. I'm looking for a veteran. I don't care if he's never started, if he's been the nickel corner for somebody, or if he's been on NFL teams and he's on somebody's practice squad right now. That's what I'm looking for. Hey, let's at least work him out. Let's see what we can do.
Well, we do have a Dan Quinn guy that's on the practice squad at the moment, which is Sheffield. So likelihood is he'll get promoted this week.
Yeah.
And you know, he's obviously schooled in Dan Quinn's style, so hopefully he should be able to come in, because at the moment I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Kelvin Joseph, and we're not seeing the Sean Wright on the field at all at the moment. So, you know, he was a healthy scratch for this game. So it's great that Deron Bland's stepping up as the nickel corner, but you know, I don't think you could ask him to go outside and play with the big boys.
You know, I'm glad you brought up Nashawn Wright. I mean, because in the preseason, this kid plays every snap. He's a big corner, 6'4" corner. And I was thinking, okay, the Cowboys, we got something here. Okay. Kid was the Oregon State, I believe. And I thought that he was going to get a lot more playing time. Him and what's my linebacker from LSU?
Jabbar Cox.
Cox. We thought both of these kids were going to get on the field. They may not have a choice right now and put these kids on the field, you know, especially to get them some work before the playoffs start. Yeah. You know, we really need to get them on the field, because we're really hurting at that corner position and sometimes that outside linebacker, even though Barr played Sunday. So he actually had a sack and everything, but that's my only thing right now is that corner position. It's really bothering me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a huge concern for us going forward. And look, hopefully, the other name I throw into the mix, and I know Mike is behind this name, is Israel Mukwamu, possibly going outside again. Big body, 6'4" guy.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like Okwamu. Yeah, I like him. I like him very much. And hey, if we can get him on the roster, let's go. Hey, you know how they say at the draft, run the card up to the commissioner?
Yes.
I need you to get up there fast. Call his agent. Hey, brother, get here.
That's it. But I suppose, look, for me on Sunday, you know, the game kind of turned on the secondary plays from, as I say, from Malik Hooker, from Deron Bland doing things. But I mean, I don't think any of that would have happened without the impact of the defensive line. And as you guys have alluded to, having to account for Micah Parsons coming down. Paul, you always say it's a chain. You know, that everything starts from the defensive line, feeds through the linebackers. And without those guys, your secondary guys don't do what they do.
Exactly. And I don't know if you might have saw this, but did you see the clip of DeMarcus Lawrence pancaking the left tackle?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that there is one of the reasons why like even D-Law, your defensive line is still so important. Even though Matt S still gets the ball away,
Yeah.
it just shows like that little bit of pressure just creates the opportunity for in the backfield even more so. So
Also, Adigizua had a wonderful game.
he did.
Yeah.
Adigizua had a beautiful game. I love the way the kid plays. You know, sometimes you'll see spurts. I think if he gets just a little bit stronger, that you'll see him dominate games even more.
Yeah. Like I've really been impressed with the growth in him this year. I mean, he had a great rookie season, kind of hit the wall around game 10, 11, and he seems to have paced himself better this year and is lasting now into games 11, 12, 13 and on, and hopefully we'll see that through the playoffs, you know. But I suppose, look, Chris, if we could give you one off-season wish, what would it be? You know, where would you like to see this team improve?
That's a good question. Off-season wish. Well, first, can I hit 2 wishes?
You can have 2.
Keep Tony Pollard.
Right.
Don't let him out the building. I know the running back price is not much, so the Cowboys can't afford him. So I think next year they're going to franchise Tony. Okay, that's one way to keep him. Okay, and then you can work right there. So my other wish, I'm an offensive lineman. Okay, anytime we can get something nasty up front that can maul people,
yeah,
you know, because you can see with I was so impressed with Tyler this year, you know, coming in as a rookie, even putting him back at tackle and guard. You saw his footwork, man, on those long runs by Tony, how he got out there and pulled, and he's athletic big man. So if I can get me one more athletic big man, because we don't know how many years Tyron has.
Yeah, we were just talking about.
Okay, we still don't know how many years.
Yes, I am, Joe.
Yes, Joe, he's in Texas. He's in Arlington, Texas right now. We're literally 5 minutes from the stadium. Okay. so my wish is either another mauler on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Or a middle linebacker.
Do you know, when Chris said can I have 2 wishes, and he built up that second one, I thought he was going to say Super Bowl win, man. Come on.
Well, we did say off season.
Well, Jamie, this is the only reason I don't. I'm so superstitious about the Cowboys because people always say, y'all say you're gonna win it every year.
But
okay.
In fairness, that's the media that says that.
So
the media says that.
I'm one of those. I won't say the S word until the C word is there. I don't mean that other word y'all use in Europe. The Cowboys, I meant. So he's turning red. Anyway, I got him. So if the Cowboys is playing in February, we're there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's
3 wishes for the Cowboys to play in February.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say on Steve's comment there, he obviously hasn't been looking at Paul's Instagram stories, because on Saturday you were looking very rough during the USA soccer game, Paul.
Dude, since I got here, all I've been doing is drinking. This is probably the most soberest I've ever been right now since I got here. So yeah, I much appreciate the concern, and thank you, Steve.
Yeah, he was quite rough Saturday when we finally hooked up and met. And you know, his eyes is already tight, right? So his eyes was like, "Hey, Chris, nice to see you, brother. You know, hey, I can't do a Scottish accent, so I'm not even gonna try." And I was just like, "You okay, bro?" I am smashed.
Oh Lord. So is there anything any of you gentlemen want to talk about before the end of the show?
Well, Steve just brought up my camera, but I need to. In fact, let me give a big shout out to Bobby Belt, by the way, of 105.3 The Fan, because he gave me his. Like, so I can still do the documentary, thank God. So big shout out to Bobby. So
yeah,
I owe him big time. But God knows where my actual GoPro is. I think it's long gone. Someone's gonna end up recording some really.
I hope it's just cowboy content on it.
No, trust me, there is. It's just,
because you're gonna go viral, brother.
Oh.
If it's not.
Very good. Very good.
But other than that, man, I couldn't have asked for a better week to be here. If anything, like the way we're situated as a team right now, all the players are starting to come back, getting stronger. Like we mentioned Tyron Smith. Like, how does he fit into the fold? It's like we're actually having debates of where do we put our players in right now?
Yes.
So in a way, it's a really healthy discussion. But at the same time, it's like, man, it's like the sky could be the limit, but at the same time, we just need to keep ourselves at that level playing ground, make sure that we're just being consistent and not being too cute out there.
And another thing, I think this should also put a lot of the Dak haters to rest about the scoring offense. Since Dak has been back, we've been scoring over 30 points a game, right?
Yeah.
So we're the highest scoring team in the NFL since Dak has been back, right? So now it's a problem now. Each week, we don't know who's going to be the key. When we had the tight end game, the whack-a-mole game, those tight ends were amazing, okay? So last week, it was both of the receivers. It was CD and it was Mike. Amazing, okay? So then the week before, it was Tony Pollard up in Minnesota. Tony was killing them, and Zeke was getting in the end zone. So this is a good problem, Cowboy fans. It's good. It's a good. I don't care who does it, as long as it's 30 points on the board, and we got the W next to our name. That's all I care about. You know.
Oh, Brian, you'll be very pleased to know I actually told Sam Williams personally that I ate humble pie.
Paul, this is completely off the Cowboys because I know you're into the baseball. It's just broke. Aaron Judge is signing for the San Francisco Giants.
Aaron Judge is signing for the San Francisco Giants. I don't know if you're into baseball at all.
I know. Well, he's from California, so we all knew he was going back to California. The Yankees had a chance. Yeah, the Yankees had a chance all year to sign the kid, and they didn't do it. And I knew he was going to go back to the Giants. He's a California kid, Bay Area kid. So good for the Giants. I don't have to see him anymore because he's in the National League. We're American League here, the Rangers.
So just to give me a bit of context as well, Jamie's a massive Yankees fan. So
well, I apologize, Jamie.
I'm still pretty big a Cowboys fan and a Mavericks fan, so it's all right. I can get it back on.
Everybody can't be perfect.
And look, I think on that bombshell, unless there's anything else you gentlemen want to get out, I think we'll wrap up and keep Mike happy and finish in under an hour and a half.
All right, guys, I just got one thing. We have also a Cowboy show on YouTube. It's on Wednesday nights at 7:00 Central Time here in Texas. It's called The Cowboys Huddle. Guys, please subscribe, watch us. We do the same thing you guys. I'm the more the entertainment part of its show, but we do this. We get down and dirty, and we do talk real football too. But we love for you guys to join us. Hopefully, I can pull Paul's leg, and he'll join us tomorrow too.
Absolutely. And where can we get you on Instagram and Twitter and all of those things, Chris?
On Twitter, oh Jesus, I know my Twitter handle. I don't use Twitter as much. I do know it. Hold on, just 1 second. Hey, they tease me all the time. Oh, you know my Twitter because you tweet me.
Yes, Chris Lee.
Yeah, it's Chris T. Lee, 87, I believe, on Twitter. On TikTok, which I'm big on TikTok. It is Dallas Cowboy Chris on TikTok.
Dallas Cowboy Chris.
On Instagram is Chris 1969 Lee. Okay. And on Facebook is just Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee on Facebook. I'm in Texas. It'll say Arlington, Texas.
So we have all the details, and we'll push those up and push those out for you all tonight. So look, I'm going to wrap up, and I'm going to pass it around the horn for everyone to say good night. It's a good night from me here in Ireland.
It's a
good night here. Good night here in Linlithgow as well.
Thanks for joining in. Tonight's been a long one, but been a good one. And stay safe. Make sure you check out Paul on his socials throughout this weekend. Mike is joining him out there. Mike Bull, should I say, not Mike P, but Mike Bull and Daz are joining Paul out there at the end of this week. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like the Three Stooges, isn't it?
You know it, JB. You know it. But yeah, it's a good night from me and Chris back here in Texas. So it sounds weird me saying that, but anyway, go Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys for life. Peace.
Oh.